Jesus is the high priest who has made the final sacrifice for sins for all time. And I love that passage because it focuses so much on Jesus' glory and Jesus being God and how we have confidence to enter the presence of the Lord on high. And today I want to back up a little bit in the book of Hebrews into Hebrews chapter 4, where this concept of Jesus as the high priest is also discussed. And in Hebrews chapter 4, verse 14, it says, "Therefore, since we have a great priest who has ascended into heaven, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold firmly to the faith we profess. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin. Let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need." And that last verse in verse 16, about approaching God's throne with confidence, that's kind of the same concept that's in Hebrews chapter 10. What I love about Hebrews chapter 4 is where Hebrews chapter 10 focuses on Jesus as God and as the Lord on high. Hebrews chapter 4 kind of reminds us that Jesus was also a man. He came and lived as a man on earth and experienced all of the trials that we experience. In that verse, in verse 15, "For we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weakness, but we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin." I don't know about you, but a lot of times when we are dealing with sin, right, and we have a lot of guilt maybe over our sin, or we don't know how to break out of our sin struggles, a lot of times we try to be stronger and we try to show off our strengths, and we try to find people that have the strengths that we admire, and we want to learn from them. How can we be strong like that? But in my experience, and I think a lot of us know this, but it's just hard to live in it, is that we are much more alike in our weaknesses than we are in our strengths. See, the big point of Hebrews as a whole is that Jesus is the one with all the strength, and Jesus is the one that did it all right so that we could be forgiven, so we don't have to worry about all these weaknesses. And so really what I want to encourage us all to do, and I'm trying to encourage myself to do, is like in times of struggle, maybe instead of looking for people who have the strengths that we desire, we should find people who can empathize with our weaknesses, people who have maybe experienced the same weaknesses. One of the things that I've learned through our Celebrate Recovery program is that we are not perfect people, and everybody has weaknesses. And one of the things that's beautiful about Celebrate Recovery is people come together and they say, "This is my weakness." It might be something like addiction, but Celebrate Recovery is not just about that. It can be codependency, it could be I have anger issues, it can be I have issues about the way I look, I get super anxious all the time, I have depression, all these issues. And what happens is people come together, and when we have people around us that can empathize with our weakness, they lift us up and give us freedom to start to live in our strengths. And the ultimate thing that Celebrate Recovery is teaching people, and I hope that people would recognize, it's not just about addictions. It's about learning how to embrace your weaknesses and allow Jesus to give us strength. And so today I just pray that we would know that we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weaknesses. But we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin.